The phrase, God's chosen one, can be interpreted in various religious and cultural contexts, often referring to a figure believed to be selected by a deity or deities to fulfill a specific purpose or mission. However, this term can also be applied more broadly to individuals or groups who are perceived as favored or exalted by divine will in any number of religious traditions. Here are 10 reasons why such figures or groups might be disliked or even hated. Number 1. Perceived favoritism. This perception arises when a particular individual or group is believed to be especially favored by a deity or higher power, setting them apart in ways that are both significant and, to some, profoundly unfair. In many religious traditions, the narrative of being chosen by God is pervasive and can have a profound impact on both the internal dynamics of a group and its interactions with outsiders. For instance, in some interpretations of religious texts, certain tribes or nations are depicted as having a special covenant with God, which confers on them specific blessings and responsibilities. While this can bolster a strong sense of identity and purpose among the chosen, it can simultaneously foster a perception of exclusion or inferiority among those not similarly marked. The implications of perceived favoritism extend beyond mere envy or resentment. It touches on deeper themes of justice, equality, and the nature of divine will. Critics argue that a benevolent deity would not show undue preference, as this would contradict principles of fairness and impartiality. This argument can lead to significant theological debates within communities about the nature of God and the interpretation of sacred texts. Moreover, the belief in divine favoritism can be manipulated for less than holy purposes. Leaders might claim to be chosen to solidify their control, using religious justification to support political or personal agendas. This manipulation can lead to skepticism and disillusionment among the broader populace, further eroding trust in both religious and secular institutions. Additionally, the idea that some are divinely favored inevitably leads to conflicts when intersecting with democratic principles and the modern emphasis on equality and human rights. In a world that increasingly values egalitarian principles, the notion that some might be inherently superior or entitled to specific advantages based on divine selection is particularly inflammatory. Addressing the challenges posed by perceived divine favoritism requires a nuanced understanding of both human nature and religious interpretation. It calls for an ongoing dialogue within and between religious communities about the meanings and implications of being chosen and how these beliefs should shape interactions in a pluralistic society. Ultimately, fostering a culture that values critical thinking, humility, and inclusivity can help mitigate the divisiveness that often accompanies claims of divine favoritism. Number 2, exclusivity. This idea often manifests in religious doctrines and narratives where a specific individual or group is designated as having a unique relationship with the divine, setting them apart from others, not only in spiritual terms, but also in social and cultural contexts. This demarcation between the chosen and others can lead to a range of social dynamics, from pride and communal identity to segregation and discrimination. Exclusivity, in this sense, operates on the principle that divine selection confers a special status, which can be both a source of strength and a cause for division. For those within the chosen group, this status can foster a deep sense of community, purpose, and pride. It can affirm their practices, beliefs, and values, reinforcing a shared identity that is tightly knit and profoundly meaningful. However, the flip side of this exclusivity is that it inherently defines others as outside the special relationship, often leading to their marginalization. This outsider status can manifest in various harmful ways: social ostracism, economic disparities, political disenfranchisement, and even violence against those who are not considered part of the chosen cadre. Such divisions are evident in numerous historical and contemporary contexts where religious or ethnic groups have used claims of divine favoritism to justify unequal treatment of others, including forced conversions, expulsions, and other forms of persecution. The theological basis for exclusivity can also lead to rigid doctrinal adherence, which might discourage dialogue with other faiths or ideologies. This can inhibit the exchange of ideas and deepen misunderstandings and prejudices. In more extreme cases, it can lead to fundamentalism or radicalism, where the chosen group sees itself as fighting against an immoral world that does not share its divinely sanctioned vision. Moreover, claims of exclusivity can challenge the fabric of pluralistic societies, which are built on principles of equality and inclusivity. In democratic contexts, where the rights and dignity of every individual are upheld regardless of their religious or ethnic backgrounds, assertions of a divinely chosen status can be particularly contentious. It can lead to legal and ethical dilemmas about how to respect religious beliefs while ensuring that no group is privileged or discriminated against by virtue of their spiritual status. Addressing the challenges of exclusivity thus requires careful balancing. Engaging in interfaith dialogues, promoting inclusive theological interpretations, and fostering a broader understanding of religious and cultural diversity are crucial. Educating communities about the potential dangers of exclusivist claims, while emphasizing universal values such as compassion and equality, can help mitigate the negative impacts of this phenomenon. Number 3, entitlement. This belief in divine favor often leads to attitudes and behaviors that set the chosen apart, imbuing them with a belief that they are owed certain privileges or that their actions are inherently justified by their special status. This entitlement can have significant social ramifications, affecting relationships between different groups and individuals within a community. Entitlement in this context is not merely about feeling special or favored. It manifests in tangible actions and attitudes that can alienate those outside the chosen group. For instance, those who believe they are divinely chosen may feel justified in bypassing societal norms or rules, believing that ordinary standards do not apply to them. This can lead to behaviors that others see as arrogant or dismissive, creating friction between groups. This behavior might include refusing to engage in dialogue with others who hold different beliefs, or insisting on special treatment in social, legal, or political arenas. Moreover, this sense of entitlement can lead to a paternalistic attitude towards others, where the chosen group believes it has the right or duty to lead or correct those they view as less favored or misguided. This can exacerbate feelings of resentment and resistance among those who are perceived as outsiders, further entrenching divisions. In scenarios where these attitudes permeate leadership or governance, it can result in policies that reflect these disparities, thereby institutionalizing the entitlement. The belief in being chosen and entitled often leads to a justification for actions that might otherwise be considered unethical or oppressive. In extreme cases, this can include justifying acts of violence or oppression as divinely sanctioned. History is replete with examples where claims of divine choice have led to wars, conquests, and oppression against others who are not seen as part of the chosen group. Counteracting this sense of entitlement requires significant effort within communities to foster a culture of humility and mutual respect. It involves challenging the interpretations that lead to such beliefs and promoting a more inclusive understanding of divine love or favor, which encompasses all humanity rather than a select group. Engaging in interfaith and intercultural dialogue can help mitigate the harsh edges of entitlement by exposing the chosen group to diverse perspectives and reinforcing the commonalities among all people. By encouraging individuals to question and reflect on the implications of their beliefs on others, communities can foster a more inclusive atmosphere where being chosen is viewed as a responsibility to act with integrity and compassion rather than a license to dominate or exclude. Number 4, intolerance. Intolerance driven by beliefs of divine selection can severely disrupt social harmony and inter-community relations. When individuals or groups consider themselves specially chosen by a higher power, they may adopt an attitude of superiority, displaying disdain towards those with different beliefs or practices. This can lead to social exclusion and escalate to conflict. Such intolerance is often justified by a perceived divine mandate, making it deeply entrenched and resistant to change. Those who believe they are chosen may regard their religious or cultural practices as superior, leading to the rejection of alternative perspectives. This exclusionary mindset fosters alienation and resentment and escalates misunderstandings. The consequences of this intolerance are not merely theoretical, but manifest in tangible discrimination in employment, education, and access to services, systematically disadvantaging those outside the chosen group. In extreme cases, it can fuel violence and persecution, as history shows with wars, genocides, and forced conversions initiated under the guise of divine right. Addressing this intolerance requires a multi-pronged approach. Educational initiatives are crucial. They should aim to foster an appreciation of diverse human experiences and histories. Integrating lessons on different cultures and religions can dismantle prejudices and foster a broader, more empathetic worldview. Interfaith dialogue is another essential tool. Bringing together individuals of various faiths to share experiences and perspectives can break down barriers of misunderstanding. These discussions should be conducted with mutual respect and a commitment to understanding rather than converting. Legal frameworks that enforce equality and protect all beliefs are also vital. Laws must ensure that no group faces discrimination based on their religious or cultural identity, accompanied by rigorous enforcement and public education on the importance of tolerance. In sum, combating intolerance rooted in beliefs of divine favoritism demands education, dialogue, and legal protections to create a society where diversity is celebrated rather than feared. Through these efforts, societies can work towards an environment of mutual respect and understanding. Number 5, moral superiority. The belief in being divinely chosen often instills a deep sense of moral superiority in those who hold this view, influencing their interactions within and across communities. This conviction can lead to viewing one's values and behaviors as inherently superior, fostering an environment where harsh judgments and discrimination against others become normalized. Individuals or groups who perceive themselves as morally superior often judge those who do not share their beliefs or meet their moral standards severely. This can manifest in social exclusion, advocacy for punitive measures against those deemed morally inferior, and a reluctance to engage with different cultural or religious perspectives. Such attitudes not only strain interpersonal relationships, but can also influence societal structures, including laws, education, and public discourse. Legislation influenced by the moral convictions of a chosen group can lead to laws that disproportionately impact outsiders, often overlooking the cultural contexts of behaviors. In education, curricula might be biased toward promoting specific moral viewpoints, hindering critical thinking and appreciation for ethical diversity. Moreover, the belief in moral superiority can incite internal conflicts within the chosen group, as members compete to demonstrate their righteousness, potentially leading to extremism. This internal strife can destabilize the group and exacerbate divisions both within and outside the community. To mitigate these negative effects, a multifaceted approach is necessary. Educational reforms should encourage critical thinking and expose students to a broad range of moral and ethical perspectives, promoting understanding over judgment. Interfaith and intercultural dialogue initiatives can facilitate meaningful exchanges between different groups, helping to break down barriers of misunderstanding and mutual disdain. Additionally, legal and policy frameworks need to be equitable, ensuring that no group's moral perspective is used as a basis for discrimination. Such measures can help create a more inclusive society where diverse views are respected and constructive dialogue is encouraged, reducing the divisiveness that often accompanies the belief in moral superiority and fostering a more harmonious coexistence. Number 6, historical conflicts. Historical narratives that justify conflicts, conquests, or displacements through claims of divine selection have deeply embedded long-standing animosities and grievances among groups. These claims often legitimize violence and domination, framing aggressive acts as divinely sanctioned and thereby noble in the aggressor's view. This perspective not only dehumanizes the victims, but also portrays the conflict as a necessary fulfillment of a divine plan, rather than a series of aggressive choices. Such narratives become part of a group's national and cultural identity, perpetuating cycles of mistrust and retaliation. The enduring impact of colonial conquests and religious wars, for example, continues to influence international relations and internal politics globally. Victims of such aggression often retain collective memories of oppression, which can fuel ongoing conflicts and complicate reconciliation efforts. The interpretation of historical events plays a crucial role in either sustaining these grievances or aiding in healing. When history is taught or portrayed in a way that reinforces a narrative of divine favoritism, it can perpetuate justification for current and future conflicts. In contrast, a more balanced historical education that includes multiple perspectives, especially those of the marginalized or conquered, can foster a more comprehensive understanding and empathy. Educational reforms are essential in addressing these deep-seated issues. By integrating diverse viewpoints into the history curriculum, educators can help students appreciate the complex realities behind historical events. This approach promotes empathy and a deeper recognition of the impacts of historical actions on different communities. Dialogues and reconciliation processes are equally vital. These initiatives can bridge divides by openly acknowledging past wrongs and exploring ways to prevent similar conflicts in the future. Such efforts should be supported by leaders committed to healing historical wounds rather than exploiting them for current political gains. Addressing the legacy of conflicts justified by divine selection demands a concerted effort to confront uncomfortable truths, recognize shared humanity, and work towards a more inclusive and peaceful future. This involves a collective commitment to reevaluating historical narratives and fostering an environment where historical grievances can be discussed and addressed constructively. Number 7, contradicting beliefs. The concept of chosen figures or messiahs is common across many religious and cultural traditions, each proclaiming their own divine endorsements and sacred histories. These differing claims often lead to contradictions and disputes among groups, each questioning the legitimacy and authenticity of the other's messianic figures and sacred narratives. This divergence in beliefs can be a significant source of interreligious and intercultural tension. Each group's messiah or chosen figure is typically embedded deeply in their identity and belief systems, viewed as a pivotal element of their spiritual life and communal practices. For believers, these figures embody divine truth and moral guidance. However, when different groups interact, the contrast between their sacred stories and the roles of their respective messianic figures can lead to disputes. These disagreements often revolve around interpretations of historical events, prophecies, and the perceived intentions of these divine figures, complicating intergroup relations. Moreover, these contradictions are not merely academic or theological in nature. They frequently have real-world implications. For instance, competing claims over sacred sites, which are often associated with messianic figures or pivotal historical events, can lead to ongoing conflicts and even violence. Additionally, these disputes can influence international relations, where states may support one religious group over another based on shared religious histories or ideologies, further exacerbating tensions. Addressing these challenges requires nuanced approaches that foster mutual respect and understanding. Interfaith dialogues play a crucial role in this context, providing platforms for representatives of different faiths to share insights into their traditions, dispel misconceptions, and explore common ground. These dialogues help participants recognize the spiritual validity found in other traditions, which can mitigate disputes and encourage peaceful coexistence. Educational programs that promote religious literacy are also vital. By educating people about the diversity of religious beliefs and the historical contexts of these traditions, societies can cultivate a more informed populace that is less likely to view religious differences as threats. Ultimately, reconciling these contradicting beliefs demands a collective commitment to empathy, dialogue, and education. Through these efforts, communities can move towards a more harmonious coexistence, recognizing that the diversity of religious and cultural expressions is a global reality that enriches human civilization. Number 8, political manipulation. The chosen one is not just confined to spiritual realms, but can also be co-opted for political purposes. Leaders and political movements sometimes claim or are ascribed the status of being chosen to legitimize their authority, consolidate power, or mobilize supporters. This manipulation of a deeply ingrained belief can lead to significant political consequences, including skepticism and distrust among the general populace. When political figures present themselves or are portrayed as divinely chosen, They tap into the collective consciousness that associates such claims with historical or prophetic significance. This can enhance their appeal or authority in the eyes of their followers, making it easier to galvanize a base and marginalize opponents. However, this strategy can also alienate those who see through the manipulation or who belong to different ideological or religious viewpoints, leading to polarized societies. The use of religious imagery and the concept of being chosen can effectively obscure the real issues at hand, such as policy efficacy or ethical governance, redirecting public discourse towards more emotional and less rational territories. This diversion can be a powerful tool for leaders seeking to escape scrutiny or criticism, as the divine endorsement implies that questioning them might equate to questioning the divine will itself. However, over time, the overt politicization of spiritual concepts can lead to public cynicism. When the promises linked to a chosen leader fail to materialize, or when such leaders are embroiled in scandals, the disillusionment can be profound. This disillusionment may not only erode trust in the specific individuals involved, but can also extend to the broader political system and its ability to function transparently and effectively. To combat the misuse of the concept of the chosen one in politics, it is essential for civil society and media to maintain a critical perspective, promoting political literacy and encouraging public engagement in democratic processes help ensure that political claims are scrutinized and held to account. Additionally, fostering a political culture that values policy over personality and ethics over entitlement is crucial for sustaining democratic integrity and public trust. Number 9. Accountability. When individuals or groups are perceived as chosen or specially anointed, they often acquire a status that places them beyond reproach or criticism in the eyes of their followers or society at large. This perception can create significant issues of accountability, as it allows for unchecked behavior and decision-making that may go unchallenged due to the aura of infallibility that surrounds these chosen figures. This lack of accountability can manifest in various detrimental ways. In religious contexts, leaders who are considered chosen or divinely guided might exploit their position to justify unethical decisions or personal misconduct, banking on their untouchable status to shield them from scrutiny. Similarly, in politics, leaders who capitalize on this concept may bypass normal checks and balances, pushing policies or actions that would normally require more rigorous debate or approval processes. The belief that one is not subject to the same standards as others can lead to a dangerous disconnect between the leader and those they lead. This can result in governance that lacks transparency and responsiveness, with leaders becoming isolated from the practical and often challenging realities of the lives of their constituents or followers. Moreover, the unchecked power may also lead to corruption and abuse, as the safeguards meant to prevent such outcomes are undermined by the leader's elevated status. Addressing this issue requires a firm commitment to principles of accountability and transparency. For religious organizations, this might mean implementing clear governance structures that allow for oversight and provide mechanisms for addressing grievances or misconduct. In political systems, strengthening institutions that enforce checks and balances is crucial, ensuring that no individual or group can wield power without accountability, regardless of their perceived status. Furthermore, promoting a culture of critical thinking and skepticism can help followers and citizens recognize the risks of unchecked authority and encourage them to demand higher standards of transparency and ethical behavior from their leaders. Education and open dialogue about the historical and potential dangers of such dynamics are essential. Ultimately, maintaining accountability in any system where individuals or groups are seen as chosen requires vigilance and the active participation of the entire community. It involves fostering an environment where questioning and constructive criticism are not only allowed but encouraged, ensuring that all actions and decisions are subject to scrutiny, thereby safeguarding the collective well-being and integrity of the society or group. Number 10. Misinterpretation and misuse. When individuals or groups claim to be chosen, the inherent authority and legitimacy associated with this status can be attractive to those seeking to advance their own interests. This can lead to manipulative behaviors where the claim of divine or special selection is used to justify actions or decisions that benefit the individual or group, often at the expense of others. For example, a political leader might assert a divine mandate to justify policies that consolidate their power or undermine opponents, rather than addressing the genuine needs and concerns of the populace. In religious contexts, misusing the idea of being chosen can lead to the exploitation of followers. Leaders might use their perceived divine favor to demand unquestioning obedience or substantial financial contributions, all while avoiding accountability for their actions. This misuse can erode trust within the community, as followers may feel exploited or deceived when the promised benefits or spiritual guidance do not materialize. The broader implications of such misinterpretations are significant. When the concept of being chosen is misused, it can contribute to a climate of skepticism and suspicion. Others may view the chosen group or individual with distrust, questioning their motives and the authenticity of their claims. This can lead to societal divisions, where different groups are pitted against each other, each doubting the legitimacy of the other's claims and actions. To address these issues, it is crucial to foster transparency and accountability. In religious and cultural settings, clear ethical guidelines and governance structures can help prevent the misuse of divine claims for personal gain. For political systems, robust checks and balances are essential to ensure that claims of divine or special status do not circumvent democratic processes or ethical standards. Education also plays a vital role in mitigating the negative effects of misinterpretation and misuse. By promoting critical thinking and encouraging individuals to question and analyze the motives behind claims of being chosen, societies can reduce the likelihood of such claims being used manipulatively. Open dialogue and interfaith or intercultural discussions can also help clarify misunderstandings and build mutual respect among diverse groups. In conclusion, the concept of being God's chosen one can be a double-edged sword. While it can offer a profound sense of purpose and significance, it also opens the door to resentment and conflict. Whether it's due to perceived favoritism, exclusivity, entitlement, intolerance, or the potential for political manipulation and misuse, the idea of divine selection can create deep divisions and tensions. Understanding these dynamics helps us navigate the complexities of belief and power, fostering a more empathetic and informed perspective on the challenges faced by those who claim or are perceived to be divinely chosen. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Amen.